Each other, but
Should I move over?
yeah, I need to clap. Well, let's and oh shit. Guys from Poly Radio, I'm here. I'm Philip, and this is the new year of interviews, and we're going to interview a legend, as we can say, of.
There's a legend arriving. Nobody told me that.
Obviously,
I'll get out of here to make room for him or her. Hello. Hi.
Hi, welcome. So,
Thank you.
have you learned something Italian?
No,
to now?
nothing. Nothing.
Really nothing.
Nothing at all.
So, you said that this is not the first time that you're here in Italy.
No, and I've still learned nothing. This is I think this is my fourth tour in Italy, or maybe it's my third. It's my third or my fourth. The last time I was in Italy touring, it was 2014.
Yeah.
And now it's 2018. But before that, I think maybe there was a tour in 2013. And
1990s or
maybe
something.
there was something in 2010. It's all in here somewhere, if I can only remember. But there's a lot to remember. So.
Do you remember maybe the best city that you have visited here?
Well, Rome is of course amazing for seeing incredible stuff, walking, and I remember having some very interesting concerts. I think the first time I toured in Italy, I was opening up for Adam Green. I think maybe that was my first tour in Italy, maybe 2006. I don't totally remember. Maybe I was here in 2008 on a tour I think I was in Milan in 2008 opening
So
for
Milan and Rome, it's just a couple of cities.
Yeah, but also I think we were Florence, Bologna,
Venice.
Verona, I think.
Oh.
I mean, it's hard to remember. We play a lot of places around the world, but Italy is more rare, so it's like special to be here because, like we always play America, England, Germany. This is more normal for us, but Italy is like, wow, we get to go back to Italy. It's
are your fans from Italy just like different respect to maybe USA, like your performances are seems to be different?
It's very different because we have no fans in Italy. So this is really the biggest difference.
The challenge.
So well, I love a challenge. Everything's a challenge, so it's good to love a challenge because everything is challenging. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we have fans in Italy. It's always a bit of a mystery because it's not like the indie rock culture that you see in France or in Ireland or other places. I don't really see record stores in the same way or rock clubs. Like this place seems like a real rock club. The backstage has a lot of graffiti on the wall, so it's a bit more rock and roll. But I don't know. I think Italy has. It seems like there's a good punk scene. Like I remember a lot of squats and kind of punk places, but I don't know very many rock clubs in Italy. But I'm kind of ignorant. I haven't toured here very much, so maybe
there's the legend about your tours because I read somewhere that you sleep in your fans' houses, like you. Sometimes
we will sleep anywhere. You need to sleep, so sometimes you don't need to sleep, but usually we need to sleep. So we've slept in places like this. You move the drums over. There's a nice rug.
And it's enough.
Especially the early years of touring, when we started touring, and the audiences were very small in the beginning, and when the hotel was going to cost more than the concert pays, so why stay in a hotel? It's silly.
There's no trade-off.
Yeah. So, it's also very interesting to stay at people's homes because we've done tours where you stay in a hotel every night, and then it is so boring. Every hotel looks the same. You don't see people's books and their records, and you get introduced to a different kind of apartment, a different kind of home, and a lot of times staying at somebody's house is much nicer than a hotel. They might have, maybe they have a nice swimming pool, or maybe they have cool records or a nice dog. We stay at a hotel, there's never any dogs. Every time we stay at a hotel, it's like, where's the cats? Where's the dogs? So it's nice to stay at people's houses.
And which was the weirdest one? Weird experience?
God. I mean, I cannot. I can't pick one weirdest one. There's so many weird ones. I mean, from some places that are truly horrible, where the floor is horrible and disgusting, and there's
carpets that are destroyed or something like
and there's
that.
Cat poop on the carpet, and you say, I wish I was in a hotel where there were no cats. And the people that you stay with are playing music, and there's loud sounds, and you can't sleep. So sometimes it was like that, and then other times you stay in a fantastic place, like I remember a place in Chicago that was very, very high up on a tall skyscraper, and I was like scared looking out the window, and it had these big windows that from the floor to the ceiling.
Whoa.
And it was just, I just couldn't look. I had to, the whole night, I had to just look in the other direction because it was too scary to, I have a fear of heights. So it was, I don't know, we've stayed so many different kinds of places, and it's part of the adventure, I think.
Yeah.
I think if it was always the same, it would become boring, or,
Yeah,
the tour wouldn't
you're
be
right.
as memorable.
I agree with you totally. And for our Italian fans, obviously, you said that, unfortunately, there aren't any. There is a very little group of fans. I don't know precisely who is your fan, but
maybe
four.
Four,
No,
yeah.
in reality, we're going to discover
5
it
and
tonight.
6, or we don't know.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe I'll make new fans tonight. Well, I'll make fan number 5 and fan number 6 if I play good tonight.
I heard.
For
I heard
Alessandra
about
and
your
Philippe,
music.
well, we're gonna make 2 new fans. That's my goal tonight. In Milan.
It will be an honor. And so, for this reason, I would ask you, like, Jeffrey Lewis in a nutshell.
Comic books, folk music, rock music. How big is how big is the nutshell? Is it like a chestnut or like a walnut?
No, just like
A macadamia, peanut.
no, macadamia.
Yeah, some quiet songs, some loud songs, some things with illustrations. We are from New York City, and we love music, and we love comic books, and we love touring and playing interesting places. And tonight we get to play with Davide Toffolo, who we've played with in Italy before, and I saw him in New York City also, and he's a fantastic illustrator and comic book artist. So it's really cool to meet somebody else who's making music and making comic books. It's a great combination. So yes, I love this combination. Independent music, independent comic books, or even dependent. I like them anyway.
And which is the combination between how do you realize the combination between comics and music? Because you do both very well. I saw some of your stuff, and it's very, very interesting. And also, you many people describe you as like an anti-folk music.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know what this means,
Yeah.
but at least it's interestingly mysterious. But I think the combination of the music and the comics is just things that I love so much. I get so much emotional intensity from music and also from comic books. I always grew up reading comic books, and that feeling of being excited about comics, being excited about music, it just makes you want to be involved, and makes you want to meet other artists who are making these things, and it makes you want to make them also. And it's just so much fun to draw and listen to music, and you sort of start to learn how to express yourself in these different forms that are very direct. Because if I was a film person, perhaps, that's a very complicated form. You need a lot of money. Even if you're doing something small and independent, you still need some money. And
obviously.
some equipment and some other people to work with. But I think comic books and music, you can do very direct. And I could work on something today, and I could show it to you tomorrow, and that would be it. So they're both, maybe comic books and music are good art forms for people with little patience.
Yeah.
So you get it done, and you show it to your mom right there.
All right. So hopefully, maybe I will have a comic book. No, sorry, I'm just joking. Maybe signed by you. It's going to be
sure.
A masterpiece.
But you should buy socks first. I think it's the first is buy socks, and then if there's after a comic book. But practical things first. If there's some extra time, so that's good for art.
Socks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not selling socks tonight. Kimya Dawson, fantastic songwriter, she sells socks at her concerts. She has Kimya Dawson socks. It's a fantastic merchandise item. I think it's perfect because if I make a lot of records or I make a lot of comic books and I take them on tour and then nobody buys them, what am I going to do at home with, 1,000 Jeffrey Lewis comic books? But if I make 1,000 socks and nobody buys them, then I have socks for the rest of my life. So I think it's a really good merchandise item.
Socks.
Yes, so. Kimya Dawson had these Kimya Dawson socks, and they're beautiful. Everybody should buy Kimya Dawson socks.
Right, this is a disclaimer. So, which are your inspirations? So, you said, which is your favorite comic book?
Well, I like a lot, but 8 Ball from the 90s by Daniel Clowes, definitely one of my all-time favorite comic books. Very strange, very creative, sometimes very funny, sometimes sad, and you always got the sense when you read an issue of 8 Ball that the artist felt completely free to make whatever kind of story. He wasn't worried about disappointing the audience because maybe the audience saw one kind of story before.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if they expected the same. He would do something different. And that kind of freedom was so inspirational because you really got the sense that the artist was very excited about what he was doing. And, I love a lot of 60s comic books, Jack Kirby and old Marvel comic books.
Yeah.
And the 1980s Marvel stuff that I grew up with when I was young. I still love a lot of that stuff. X-Men, from the 80s, and ROM, and Spider-Man.
While listening to which music?
Well, when I was young, I was too ignorant to listen to, I just would have the radio and whatever, I listened to some Michael Jackson, which I still love Michael Jackson, but then when I discovered rock and roll when I was a teenager, that really became a big change in my life, and I got very obsessed with rock, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones.
Classic rock.
Yeah, classic rock was, for me, the original education in music. And then after some time, I started to discover punk rock and indie rock, folk music, maybe some jazz, some African music,
Almost everything.
The world of music is infinite. Every time you think you've heard everything, then there's some new thing to discover. But for making songs, the biggest discovery for me was Daniel Johnston, and he is a songwriter in America who would just record at home very simple recordings and very beautiful, simple songs, and I never heard anybody do that before. I think there were a lot of people that were recording at home and making cassettes of their songs, but for me, my first exposure to that idea was Daniel Johnston, and it really blew my mind. I didn't know that you could make something so beautiful and so powerful in such a simple way. So that made me think that maybe I could start making music also. And I never made music before. I was always making comic books. So my whole life when I was young, I was always just drawing and making
comics. And you weren't playing musical instruments in that period? Or just like for
I had piano lessons
hobbies.
As a child, but yeah.
Just for your spare time?
Yeah, I wasn't really, I certainly wasn't, I didn't become like a songwriter or a live performer until after I was finished with school and I was already in my 20s. I kind of started a bit late with making songs and performing.
Right. So let's talk about your last release. So we're talking about the works by Tali Kupferberg. So which is the relationship between you and him?
Well,
which has been
at first I was just a big fan of this band, the Fugs. They were a 1960s New York City band, and they were from my neighborhood in New York City. My parents had this Fugs record, and it was one of the strangest, scariest things I ever heard. It was so real and raw, and they sounded like crazy people, and the recording was very bad quality, and it was like,
Oh.
what is this? It was a bit disturbing, and it was very compelling, and some of it was very funny and very strange, and I became more and more interested in the Fugs and finding their other recordings, and eventually I met Thule Kupferberg, who was one of the original members of the Fugs, and he was still living in New York City, and he was very open and friendly, and we had certain things in common. There were certain books that we were interested in, and we had some similarities in our family histories to some extent, from the same neighborhood in New York City.
Whoa.
So we started just being in contact, and he was just an amazing person, very funny, and very, very compassionate, very politically involved, very with so much heart and love for people, and with a lot of really like sharp humor. He had just a very interesting sense. So he died a few years ago, and every year I've been doing these concerts in New York City where I get some friends together, and we pick some of Thule's songs and poems, and we perform them every year as like a tribute on his birthday. And then I thought it would be great to make a record of some of our best versions, because I had done an album of covers of songs by the punk band Crass, a record I did in 2007, and this is kind of similar because it's my interpretations of these old songs, and some of them are very, my interpretations are and sometimes very different from the original, and sometimes I've found some rare material that Thule never released that was just in his archives or something. But we're not playing these songs live on our tour. I mean, they're just, we do them once a year at the Thule Kupferberg tribute gig, and the record came out very good. I'm really very happy with the record.
Yeah, I heard, I listened to it just this afternoon. I enjoyed a lot, and it's very, you said the sharp irony, so it's, and which is your favorite track of?
On that record, I think
the track list.
Life is Strange, I think, came out very beautifully. It's I don't know. I mean, if you hear it, you'll hear it. There's no point to describe it. It makes you to sing
aloud. So
it's I love the philosophy. He just has this interesting, the irony, the philosophy, and that to me is a very beautiful song.
Amazing. So I've got two last questions that are they're very fast. So
okay,
with a very fast response. So the first one is 3 CDs that you're going to advise to the people that are listening to our radio.
Okay, the first Jeffrey Lewis album, the second Jeffrey Lewis album, and the third Jeffrey Lewis album. And then, other than that, let's see. If you can find a Daniel Johnston album called Don't Be Scared, that's maybe one of my favorite Daniel Johnston records. The Crass album, Penis Envy, incredible album, one of the best punk albums that I've ever heard. I love that record. And a third record, let's see, maybe I should pick something from the 60s. I really love the second Strawberry Alarm Clock album.
Yeah.
I love 60s psychedelic music. I collect a lot of 60s garage rock and psychedelic stuff. And that record is just very strange to me. It's one of my favorite strange records. It's called Wake Up, It's Tomorrow. People won't like it. It's a bit weird, but I like it.
And the last one is only one word. It's future.
Future.
Near future.
I want to play more gigs. I want to make more albums. I want to make more comic books. I'm finishing my new album is finished. I have to make the art when I get home to New York, and my new comic book is 70% finished. It needs more work. So when I get home, I'll work on it.
All right, perfect. So since we are smelling some pizza pizza smell.
How was that? I thought it was just the smell of drummers.
Yeah.
But it smells good. I'll eat it. Whether it's pizza with drum, whatever.
We're going to
I'm
enjoy
in Italy.
that.
I'm going to eat some great food. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Thank you so much for having joined us.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
And now we're going to listen to you during this concert. So thank you very much,
Cool.
Jeffrey.
Well, I'll see you guys later.